The man is back. Justin from Elevation Homes joins us Friday morning for our coffee. Morning, Justin. Hope everything's well.
Morning, Dave. Yeah, no, where it's the summer heat now has finally got to us, and it's bad, but I'm not complaining. I'll take it all day long because in 6 months we're going to be complaining about the opposite, and it's going to be way worse.
And I never even thought about that with your job. A lot of your guys are outside. You're outside working a lot. It really does change from season to season. Clothing, being prepared. Like we've never actually talked about that either. But what? Give me a reference point because yeah, I mean you can't. You gotta wear the right equipment. And that's got to get heavy and hot when you're outside working.
It does, and unfortunately, like we don't always have the option of going, shorts and tank top. Just depending on where we're at. I mean, yesterday we're doing grading at our angling roadhouse. We're really on the like little details over there, and we're we're into grass that's taller than us, and we you got to be covered up, for the most part. And it was warm yesterday. So and not only that, we have we like to wear stuff that's I like to have all the guys in the branded stuff all the time. So from a business standpoint, we're constantly buying and making apparel for ourselves to suit the different seasons. So even keeping up with that, Dave, is sometimes an issue because the workwear wears through, and so the guys are constantly, and I mean like constantly asking me for shirts, long sleeve shorts, and tank tops, and we're gonna work here, so we need this high vis, and I'm the kind of guy that's like, okay, well, if we're getting high vis, it's gonna say Elevation Homes on it, right? So I'm like, hold on, I gotta call the printer, and so even those little things, they become a bit of a pain sometimes because especially here lately, we seem to get a lot of seasons that mix.
Yeah.
And I think everybody in Ontario knows we don't get seasons anymore, right? So
Do you guys use a lot of the moisture wicking wear? I'm
we
just
do. We
curious now.
yeah, we use it. We have a lot of regular your regular cotton tees, but we did do an Under Armour style outdoor shirt today because some of my guys are pretty pale and they they cannot take the heat. So I mean, I'm Italian. I mean, I could stand in it. I could stand under the sun for literally 24 hours and it doesn't affect me. But these guys, they bake like muffins on a Sunday morning. I'll tell you.
And yeah, I mean, but I mean, you think about it too. I mean, I know we're going down. We were actually, we were going to talk about something else today, folks, but now he's got me intrigued because with running, all the running I do and all the clothing, you got to have the right, if you're going to be out there, you got to have the right gear, man. Like you
Yeah.
just can't, and especially at your job, and you've got safety protocol to take into consideration. Now, do you guys try and make sure, I guess when it's going to be that hot, it's coming, do you guys try and work inside in an air conditioning environment, or it's whatever job's up that day, you got to go do?
I mean, you try, but I mean, 50% of the time it works. If it's extremely hot and we've already done 4 hot days, if we have an
Yeah.
option to do an interior job, we'll definitely try to push on that, right? But summer is summer. I mean, it's like this is the go time. I mean, their outdoor work cannot be done in January.
No.
So, well, I mean, it can, but it sucks even more. So it's either you put up with it when it's nice, or it gets pushed into the fall, and then you end up in the wet and rainy stuff. So, yeah, I mean, that's what I tell the guys when it's season, it's season. It's like we got to suck it up and get it done sometimes because this doesn't last forever. You can't pour concrete in January. You don't really want to be doing woodwork in January, so now's the time. So AC is not always an option.
And there's not really a breathable work boot, is there?
There is like you know what, I've been wearing work cowboy boots myself for I don't know, I'm probably into about a decade now, and a couple of my guys actually they won't wear the full square toe, but they have adopted and I know lots of guys that have adopted this cowboy boot style where it's actually has no laces and it pulls over and it's got kind of a squeeze fit around like the Blundstones and all. DeWalt makes one. I've actually got a pair of DeWalt cowboy work boots that are incredible. But number one, they do allow a little airflow down the top. Number two, they're high ankle, if not even higher. They're halfway up your leg for a lot of the stuff that we're doing. And number three, the laces are actually, that was the reason why I switched. And I asked guys, I was working in Texas 10 years ago, and I asked, all the workers down there, I'm like, what, like, is this a normal thing? Like, you guys just run cowboy boots for everything? And they're like, you know what, the laces get caught, right? So, it's honestly, besides that, it's 10 times easier. The air moves through your shoe way nicer. I mean, one thing I do know about cowboy boots, and this is not just because I live in the country, is they don't, like, cowboy boots don't smell. Like, I mean, because they get airflow, right? So, I mean, I don't care how bad your damn feet are. I mean, they just seem to do their job, and there's a reason why this style of boot has existed for 400 or 500 years, is because it
They
It
work.
works for cowboys. It works for work. It works for the farm. It works for everything, and it just keeps going, and they don't really change. So I get all my boots from Tennessee, and we go to Nashville once a year. I stock up on them, and they work. But and I know this is real on a tangent, but I mean it's something that if anybody out there, if you've never tried running a high ankle cowboy boot or something similar for work, once you do it, there's no going back.
Wow, I see we've learned something already today on clothing. I never knew about that. When you said it, I was like, what the hell is he talking about today?
Yep, yep,
But and then I guess the other part would be just the hats, right? Because you got to have, I mean, obviously you got hard hats, but I mean, you got to have something. Like, is it like, do most guys go with buff underneath their hard hats, buffs, just to wick away the sweat? Like,
yeah.
that's
I
got
mean,
to be tough.
yeah, we're like a lot of our jobs don't require hard hats. The reno stuff we don't really get into too much, because if it's an interior reno, we don't have to do it, right? So
Right.
nobody wants to do it, to be honest. But yeah, when we're doing a new build or a big demo or stuff like that, then yeah, most of my guys will wear, um, they'll wear something like some kind of beanie, or they'll actually wear this hat backwards underneath,
Yeah.
because yeah, these had the ones that my personal hats are kind of nice. They're better airflow hats. They're not just the off the shelfers, but so they'll wear those. But yeah, no, it gets bad, and a lot of people don't consider, when you're driving by these guys on the highway, these construction workers and these guys that are framing. I mean, these guys are athletes, like we all
Yeah.
are. To withstand what we're doing, I challenge most people to find, an overweight renovator. I mean, it happens, or an overweight home builder, or an overweight framer. And I mean, it's just, it can't be done. I mean, you'll never find a roofer that's overweight.
Oh,
I mean, it's just impossible, right? So I mean, these guys are moving, and you got to stop and think and appreciate what these four guys up on a roof are doing. I mean, it's an incredible amount of athleticism to do a 12-12 roof. I
yeah.
mean, for most people, it's impossible. And we just look up at these guys and are like, he's another roof getting done. But I mean, that's a feat.
It's a skill. It's a trade. I mean, you got to be ready to handle it. Um, Water. Do you guys? I mean, you guys must go through tons. Like, I can't even imagine yesterday being outside working.
Yeah,
I drink water constantly. I don't know how your guys do it. Like, they must. Gee, intravenous. What do you do?
yeah. I'm sure they would like that, but no, we just stack a couple cases for everybody. At the beginning of the day, I usually bring it. Like, if it's outdoor, like today, like yesterday, we were doing concrete. Two guys concrete, two guys at an interlock patio in Paris. Three of us at angling doing grading, and keep in mind, we're grading 1.1 acres from construction dirt, right? Uh, and doing a couple driveways, and so there was, there's quite a bit of water needed, and so I usually just drop a case off at each site, or I just tell the guys, like, make sure you pick it up on the way there for everybody.
Yeah.
Every lead hand that goes to each one usually will go and grab it, and then I give them the money back for it.
So we're so far down the rabbit hole now that this show's gone off the tracks. But you mentioned something in there that I don't think we've talked about nearly enough. You guys doing patio work. When you just said about doing patio stones, you guys do a lot of that, don't you? I always forget that.
It's shocking how it comes, and we don't advertise that, right?
I know.
But we, yeah, I think so this year we've done 14 concrete patios and paths and 7 big interlock decks. And then, and then obviously our regular wood decks, lots of those. I don't even know how many we've done. Yeah, we've probably done a couple dozen wood decks. But yeah, I mean, and the wood decks we advertise, but we don't push on a lot of concrete, although this time of year we do tons. I mean, we probably poured more flat work this year than interior jobs that we've done since May.
Wow.
So yeah, we're pouring another big. We're finishing one. Sorry, we're not pouring it. We did a 13-meter stamped concrete pour last week, and then there's some access pathways that we formed. Now we're pouring those this morning at 8:30, and yeah, and they just that's just pure word of mouth. I don't really put a big push on our patio work and stuff like that, but we do it in conjunction with a lot of the projects. Like I don't ever let a landscape company come in and put a patio in when we're perfectly capable, right? So then people get the word out that way. But no, it's nice this time of year to do that kind of stuff.
What a great benefit too, because you're able to do those things. And if you are doing renos and they are going to do it, right? It all fits. And
Oh,
personally, I don't want to go to 6 different contractors. I want somebody that can, the way people think, right? If this
yeah.
guy can do all of it, let's get it done.
Yeah,
right.
And I, and my guys, I had a couple new guys on this year, and they picked up the interlock thing actually really well. I was shocked. I mean, I would have never thought that that these kids would have gotten interlock or the process as good as they did. But they're on their 4th pad now, and they're doing a difficult one right now. They're doing XL slabs, which are 24 by 36. I mean, they're huge. And yeah, going good. I mean, I saw them yesterday. It's slow, but they're flat. So
it's got to be done right, especially when you're doing the interlock.
Yeah.
I've taken up enough of your time about absolutely nothing. I talked about clothing today. We are into our fashion sense today, me and Justin. We just thought we'd bring that out. But it's so important when you're like, I know when I go outside, even if you're just piddly farting around, working outside, you got to have the water. You got to wear the right clothing. It becomes a thing. You got to be ready for it because as we age, right, or like you said, you got to be fit and you got to be ready to be able to do it and do it properly. So it is a good conversation to have and to let people know that, remind them, right? There is clothing that fits. I had no clue about the cowboy boots.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool actually in itself right there. But all right, I'm telling you right now, next time we're talking old stone houses, don't get me off topic.
Yeah, no, it's all important stuff, and it doesn't matter if it's for us or if it's for the DIY or doing anything around your house. I mean, these you could wear your regular stuff out there and hope for the best, but the difference is that if you want to be able to have a Saturday and do a job start to finish in the garden or do a job start to finish when you're building your own deck or whatever. I mean, if you're a little more prepared to be out there, you can stay out there for 8 hours. But most stories that I hear are, I did a couple hours, but I was smoked. So then we went in and then we had 2 or 3 beers. And then, we came back out and it was even hotter. So we decided to call it a day to the next weekend. Well, next weekend you decided to go to the cottage. And then you end up having that deck not done in September, right? So, I mean, but I if you're prepped and you got some water and you got the right stuff on, I mean, you can get out there at 8 o'clock and bang it out. You push out 8 hours. 8 hours of deck building generally gets an average deck built, right?
You said something too that is critical. Start early. Get at it as soon as you can.
Yeah.
That's so important.
I've learned, I honestly, to be perfectly honest with you, in my younger years, I used to be an early starter. And then, I got into this habit because we were doing so many customer renos that we would just start at 9:30 because we waited for them to get out to school and we got into this thing where it was just like, okay, we'll be there at 9, and then we'd get going at 9:30, and then we'd work till 5, but you're cleaning up at 4:30, and it actually started hurting the business because we were only actually working 5.5 hours a day
Yeah.
between setup and everything. And and I want to be courteous to what, especially during school and stuff like that. But this time of year, so we still do it. So we do an 8:30 start if we're in a house that is being lived in and we're renovating. But this time of year, yeah, it's 7 o'clock. I mean, like it's the sun is up, and it's not like it's cold or anything like that. So yeah, and it makes a huge difference on the day when you stack those hours. We stack those hours for one guy, or for yourself if you're working on your own stuff. A weekend up at 6, and out by 7 versus 9. You've now put in, over the 2-day weekend, you've now put in 4.5, 5 more hours on that deck. That could have been
Yeah.
all the decking, right? 5 hours worth of decking.
Or if you're just super lazy like me, just call Justin. He'll come and do it.
You can, but I'm going to charge you for that time, right? So
That's right.
I mean, but it's but it's just one of those things. I've gotten back into the habit, especially past 3 years, of just increasing my wake up time, and getting up, and man, do I get I actually don't know if I could run the business the way it sits right now if I didn't do my 2 hours of you know paperwork and emails and all that. I like doing that in the morning because I mean
Yeah.
I fall at night.
Well, yeah, and you're awake then, right? You got your coffee and
Yeah.
you're good to go, and it's quiet time. Now I've bugged you, and it's about 3 minutes to 7, so I'm going to let you go to work now. Okay. Thanks for doing this today, Justin.